G'day everyone, welcome back to another weekly tipping video on the channel. Going to be going over my tips for round 13 of the 2025 AFL season. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you do go to enjoy today's video. And let's get straight into it. Okay, let's quickly go over how I went from round 12, the first of the bye rounds. Got myself a 4 out of 7. Not the greatest. We've been in fairly decent tipping form, but a bit of a down week, I guess you can say. We tipped Brisbane over Essendon. The Dons, really gallant performance, but yeah, Brisbane got it done when it mattered late on. Collingwood over the Hawks. A thumping this was, and a lot of the limelight shine on the Hawks. They are struggling. Went with the Suns, not much shame getting this tip wrong. Dockers, very good away from home. That's their second good quality win on the road, you'd say, after knocking off the Giants a few weeks ago up in Sydney. The Giants over the Tigers, lucky tip here. Richmond really should have won this game. They kicked themselves out of it. What was it, like 10 goals, 17? Awful goal kicking. Backed in the Swans. I knew this wouldn't pay off. I just had that deep feeling that they could be a bounce back 2005 premiership squad out there. But yeah, the Crows just put the foot down. They're looking really connected at the moment. Melbourne over the Saints, good old St Kilda, so inconsistent, and they always kill you in the footy tips, but their ball movement very good. And the Cats over the Eagles got it done late with picking up that win. We'll have a quick look now, my tipping competition leaderboard update. Benny Campbell, Zell, Mazem and Vio Latti got themselves a full 7 out of 7 score. Well done to those particular people. And as for who is leading my competition, it is a 4-way tie at the moment. ESPN Fan, Liam H, Reynolds Raffles and CC's all with a total score of 96. So now we delve into the tips for round 13. We start on the Thursday night. The Bulldogs taking on the Hawks at Marvel Stadium. The Bulldogs coming off the bye, and is it a good time to be playing Hawthorn when you're all freshened up, you've had a week off, but you're facing a side that desperately needs a win and no doubt will want to bring the intensity and physicality of the Hawks. It could be a danger game, I think, for the Dogs. They start the season off really well with team defense and connection and synergy, but that's just all gone out the window. They don't really have much of a method with ball in hand at the minute. The confidence is just shot in the playing group, and no doubt this is a big week for Sam Mitchell to really ask some burning questions in their playing group. So I am feeling a bit of a response here for the Hawks. I thought their midfield did improve slightly against the Pies, but that just has to continue to go up to another level because the Dogs, one of the most damaging sides from stoppage. They're so clean in tight spaces. Richards, Liberatore, Bontempelli, Treloar could be back for this game as well. So no doubt the Dogs can really bring the heat and intensity, and they could be smelling blood here against the Hawks given they are out of form. Could they negate the Doggies midfield and get the game on their terms of linking up really nicely by foot? They're a chance, but it's just tricky to go against the Bulldogs here. I think they are the side that could really put a bit of a number here on the Hawks, especially on the inside. Out of form as well, the Hawks, so just have a bit of trust issues tipping them here. I wouldn't be surprised if they get up, but I'll stick it safe with the Dogs here, and I'll tip the Dogs in this one. Pretty close margin, I go them by 15. Next game up, Friday night footy, we've got a belter here. The Crows taking on the Lions at the Adelaide Oval. Crows, how good have they been the last few weeks? Some big wins, and it was a huge one against the Swans. 90-point winners. Their outside game damaging with how they're moving it with ball in hand. The work rate and pressure's been really noticeable as well, and they'll be spiked up with confidence heading into this one at home against Brisbane. When the Dons brought the heat last week, they seemed to struggle, but they were able to get back on top of the midfield and get it done in the end. So Adelaide at home, it's going to be definitely a tough test. No doubt the Crows are going to bring the heat. Can they handle it? I think it's critical importance for Brisbane to really control the game through those uncontested marks and try and take the fizz out of the game. Brisbane a fairly solid chance on picking up the win here. They have the firepower in their forward half, and I think they could potentially do a number on that Adelaide midfield. But the Crows, when you look at their recent form, the last 5 weeks only losses against a 10-point loss against the competition's best of Collingwood, and that was away from home. They're building a fortress at Adelaide Oval this year. It's very tricky to go against the Crows here at home. Looking dangerous in their front half. They're connecting well from the back half too. And yeah, they're looking good on all facets of the game. So with form, I'm going to back in the Crows here against the Lions. And maybe a high-scoring shootout. We'll go Adelaide in this one by 12 points. Saturday games now. First one up, we've got the Tigers taking on the Swans at the MCG. This is a very good time for Richmond to be playing the Sydney Swans. They are looking just completely broken, and as Wayne Miller has said, they are genuinely looking like a rabble. The spirit is just really sucked out of this playing group, and not only that, they've just been so inconsistent, especially with their numbers. They won the clearances against Adelaide, for example, but then they go on to lose by 90 points. So just a lot of their numbers and just how they've played is very inconsistent. I did hear as well for the Swans, they did do a grueling beach session a few hours after the game, early morning. So I'm intrigued to see how will they respond. Will we see another flat performance, or will they really get revved up for this game? I feel like the Swans are really bottomed out and the expectations are so low. This group's got to give, and I think a bounce back is definitely due soon. but it's no easy test against the Tigers. They might have their inconsistencies as well and their ups and flows, but oh geez, they always bring it to every single opponent, especially from the start of the game. They might fade out a little bit, but I think the Tigers are a really solid chance here. Sydney have struggled against sides that bring elite pressure, and that's certainly what Richmond are capable of doing. To be honest, I just don't have much trust in the Swans. I do feel deep down a bounce back is due soon. I know their season's over, but they will play, I think, some good football here and there for the remainder of the year. They will get back in Callum Mills, most likely Wicks too. Some best 22 players starting to come back in. But yeah, I think the Tigers, off the back of that loss last week too, they were oh so close. They should have won that by a few goals. I'm going Richmond in this one. I think they're playing some decent football as of late, and they can bring it up the Swans and outdo them with their pressure. So I go Richmond in this one, in a close one by 8 points. Next game, we've got the Cats taking on the Suns at GMHBA Stadium. The Suns haven't played in Geelong for quite some time, so you can't really look at history too much for this game. This is a totally new Gold Coast side we're seeing in 2025. How will they go against the Cats? I think they're a decent chance. If their midfield is able to really get on top of this game and dominating clearances, that could be their way to winning the game of footy. But as we know, the Cats are very difficult to beat at the Cattery. Set up really well behind the ball, and look at that win against the Dogs a few weeks ago. Just how they can go and catch you out the back with their fast ball movement. They link up so well at home. Something's telling me Gold Coast can really win this game. They have really shocked a few people this season. The Suns have been one of the best sides in the competition on being able to lock it in their forward half and score from that area, whilst the Cats rely a bit more off efficiency. So could the Suns bring a bit of a stubborn defence and lock the ball in their forward half and dominate in the midfield? This could be a cheeky tip here going with them, but I'll just play it safe with the Cats here. I think they do have a bit too much of that quality, I feel, and I think their ball movement could get on top of this game and outdo the Suns. So I'll go the Cats in this one. But yeah, I think another close game. I'll go Geelong in this one by 13. Next game up, we have the Giants taking on Port Adelaide at Manuka Oval. GWS off the back of a very close win against the Tigers. They probably should have won that game. Got probably a bit lucky. It was a inspired Cal Ward comeback though in that fourth quarter. All the best to him though. That's just a shame to see him now done basically for his career with that ACL. But they are getting smacked quite a bit and exposed in the midfield, and it was another game where they conceded a lot amount of inside 50s. So the Giants I feel are quite gettable, but are Port Adelaide good enough to knock them off? They are one of the more low morale teams in the competition, probably just waiting for this season to finally end. But coming off the bye, like Sydney, when I look at Port, I still feel like there is a dead cat bounce within them. A few personal issues to go over though. Port Adelaide will get back in Kane Farrell and also Josh Sin, so a bit of rebound from the half-back. The Giants are going to lose Kieran Briggs, but they might gain back Brent Daniels. This guy very key to their forward half setup, so that could be a massive in for GWS. Given what Port are this season, I think the Giants probably will have too much quality in their front half to get the chocolates here, but I still feel like there is, as I said before, a bit of that dead cat bounce for Port Adelaide, and the Giants are gettable. They can set a lot of inside 50s, and Port on their day can be a very good front half side and, you know, lock the ball in. So I'm going Port Adelaide. This one could be very bad, but something's telling me Port can run away with this one and pick up the chocolates. So I'm going the pair in this one in a close game by 10 points. Sunday games now. First one up, we do have North Melbourne taking on the Eagles over in Bunbury. This is a home game for North Melbourne, and they'll be staying in Perth for 2 weeks, and they play Freo at Optus the week after. But North Melbourne, coming off the bye, heading into the bye, they've been fairly decent, but before that, they would have been disappointed with that fourth quarter against the Pies. But yeah, their midfield has really improved the last 5 games or so, and they've really gotten a lot from that group, and that's been key for them pushing into some close games and picking up that win, of course, against the Tigers. Favourites here against the West Coast Eagles, but they are on the build. You'd think West Coast, I've really been impressed on their ability to transition the ball. They've had some nice attacking chains from the back half. So this one, pretty tricky to tip. Do you go the Kangas coming off the bye, but is it a good time to be coming off a week off against the Eagles, who will have their fire in their bellies with that loss against the Cats? They were really competitive up until three-quarter time where they let it slip. If North can really bring dominance in the clearance game, I think that could be key for them winning this game of footy. But yeah, I think the Eagles, they will be, the spirits will be up, I think, with that loss last week. There was plenty of positives. I think they can carry that into this game and find a way to win against the Kangas. So going to back in the Eagles here. It is 18th versus 17th, so you can't really tip either side with much confidence, but I liked what I saw from the Eagles last week, so I'll back them in here to get the win. We'll go them over North Melbourne by a close margin, 7 points. Sunday night game now, we have the Blues taking on Essendon at the MCG. The Blues are coming off the bye and they've had 2 disappointing losses in a row to the Swans and also the Giants. And as for Essendon, a really competitive performance against the Lions up in Brisbane. No one expected them to win, but they were able to nudge just in front late in the third quarter. Caddy had a terrific performance and I thought their intensity and pressure was outstanding. There's definitely glimpses watching the Dons this year that make you think, hey, this could be a decent team in a few seasons. There's going to be ebbs and flows with this team. Are they good enough to knock off the Blues? The midfield battle is certainly going to be a big one in this game. Both teams on their day can be dominant from clearance. Carlton with some freshened bodies could really hit their post-bye run and gain some form from the likes of Cripps and Walsh a bit more. And Tom De Koning's been down the past few weeks. Could he have a big game here against Todd Goldstein? A lot of their wins this year, the Dons have been able to control the ball a lot more than their opponent through the uncontested games. So couldn't they take the fizz out of the game against the Blues, where their second halves have been disappointing this year? Get the game on their terms, the Dons. But I think Carlton, when you look at their forward line, it could be a bit too much when you look at Essendon's defensive stocks at the minute. So I think Carlton through their forward half game, and also I think they can get on top of the midfield in this one coming off the bye. I'm going to back in the Blues here, but I think Essendon could pull up definitely another competitive performance, but I'll go with Carlton this one, and we'll go then by 18 points. And for the final game of the round, we do have the D's taking on the Pies at the MCG. Would everybody be licking their lips for this matchup if the D's were able to kick straight and win against St Kilda? But they were very flat last week up in the NT. I know they did win the expected score, and they kicked 1 goal 12 after half time, but their pressure was pretty disappointing. The midfield probably didn't get enough from them, and they just don't seem to play too right up in NT, and it's pretty warm up there as well. So back at the MCG, I expect them to bounce back because their recent form has been fairly solid, and they have really been turning the screws in a lot of areas. So you can give that game probably a bit of a mulligan, but facing the competition's best of the Collingwood, they've been challenged here and there throughout quarters, but they just always get it done. Sound like a broken record every single week, but it's just all you have to say with Collingwood. They're defensively solid, they connect so well with their ball movement. Just keep on finding ways to win. When the games are scrapped, they're able to win the inside ball, but when they really need to bring their efficiency and conceding a lot of inside 50s, they bring that to the table, and their pressure, especially with those higher forwards, can definitely break the game open as well. I like to forget that game from last week, the D's, because as I said before, the recent form has been really good. Their ball movement's been really underrated out of all the teams in the competition, so could they really catch out the Pies with moving the football and getting the game on their terms? They like to move it fast. Don't think they can be forced to boot it long and try and win contest up the ground, because their forward line still isn't one of the greatest names on paper. They'd probably need some ground level players like Picker to really break this game open. But I think if Collingwood could set up really well defensively and not allow the D's to move the footy quick and get the game on their terms, I think the Pies should be too strong here. And yeah, they're just looking great across all facets of the field. So I reckon the D's can make this a contest, but Collingwood, it's just hard to go against them. So we're backing the Pies in this one. In a close margin, I feel like this could finally be a good Monday King's birthday matchup in a little while. So I'll go the Pies in a close one by 9 points. So everyone, that was my tips for round 13 of the 2025 AFL season. Let me know your tips down below in the comment section. We've got some pretty tasty matchups. Are you going to be going with any upsets? Let me know. Love to hear your people's opinions. That's it from me, everybody. Take care, and until next time, I'll talk to you later. See you later, fellas.